Hey there everybody. I thought I'd put together a little video on how to make major and minor chords and how to find them on the various places on the neck. So let's get started. So if you've been playing the banjo for a while, you know there are three major shapes. The bar shape, the D shape, and the F shape. So let me get a closer look at that so you can kind of see it. So here's the bar shape is simply pressing all the way across. Now the root or the name of that chord is on the third string, the G string. So if I play this bar here, it's a G chord. See, and then this would be G sharp, and this would be A. So that's really important to remember where the root is with that chord, as it is with all the chords. The F shape, 3, 2, 1, and then 3 again. The root is on the fourth string or on the first string. So as that one moves up the neck, it goes from F to F sharp to G, etc., all the way up through. Okay, then the last shape is this D shape, 4, 2, 3, 4 in terms of frets. And the root of that one is on the second string, third fret. So as that one moves up, it goes from D to D sharp to E. Okay? So let's just look at how we can play a G chord in three different positions. We've got the open G, and then we have a G here at the 5th fret because this note on the 4th string is a G. If I switch up to the next position at the 8th fret, that note on the 2nd string is a G. So I can go between those two, switching from the F shape at the 5th fret to G at the 8th fret, D shape. Okay? And then lastly, at the 12th fret, we have the bar again, remembering that everything starts to repeat at the octave point. Okay. So there are two good ways to approach learning these positions for the major chords. One is to find, like we just did, all the G chords. That's at the 17th fret. Another is to find the chords that you use a lot. So out of one position. So here's a G chord, and here's a C chord at the 10th fret, and here's a D chord at the 12th fret, all using the same F shape. Okay, so what I'm learning there is the 5th fret in the F shape is a G. At the 10th fret on the 4th string, it's a C, and then on the 5th fret, it's a D. Okay? You can do the same thing with all the positions. Here's G bar. Here's C at the 5th fret. Here's D at the 7th fret, and back to C and G. All referenced by that third string holding the name of the root. G, C note, D note. So that helps you then learn those out of that position. Then lastly, the D shape. So if we start that at G, 8th fret, then we go up to the 13th fret. We've got C, then we can go up to the 15th fret on the 2nd string, and that's D, and then back to G. Okay? So we can also go down with that one, G down to D, and and then C is here. Now that looks familiar because it's this C chord, but if you take it and slide it down, you see that that C chord is really derived from the D position. Okay, so a good way to practice is to just find all those chords out of those shapes. G, and then C, D, etc. So you can review that. Okay, so now we're going to look at how to make a minor chord from those major positions. So once you've learned where those landmarks are, you'll be able to find minor chords exactly the same way. So to illustrate that, I'm going to play the F shape G chord at the 5th fret. Now to make that a minor chord, I move the B, or the 3rd of that chord, down a half step to make it a minor chord. So remember, minor chords have a flatted 3rd in the chord. So that's going to hold true for every chord shape. So now if I take this G minor, if I move that up to where the C chord was, I would have a C minor. If I move it up 2 more frets, I have D minor. So the 4th string is naming that shape. A little trick on playing this chord, remember, you don't have to go all the way across and fret all 4 strings. You only need to fret the middle 2 strings because you've already held down the 5th and the 5th frets here. So that'll make it a little easier to play than if you're all the way across. You just need to use the tip of your index finger. So now let's look at the bar chord. The A note on the 3rd string is the root. This 2nd string holds the 3rd of the chord, the C sharp. We want to lower that down to C. So in order to cover those strings, we have to go 2nd fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret, 2nd fret. Alright, so now there's the A note on that 3rd string. If I slide that up to the 5th fret, that's C minor as opposed to C major. And then D minor would be there. So again, knowing the names of the strings at the different fret positions is pretty important to this, obviously. Okay. Then lastly, we have the D shape. The root is on the 2nd string, and the 3rd is on the 4th and the 1st string. So those have to be lowered half a step to this shape, which is 3, 2, 3, 3 in terms of frets. Here's D minor on the 2nd string. Here's G minor at the 8th fret. Here's C minor at the 13th fret. Okay. Notice you can also play C minor here, which would be the right? So those are the positions. So what's a good way to solidify all 3 positions and learn how to move your fingers around? Let's take the A minor shape first. Okay? If I know that that's on the 3rd string and I'm playing that bar chord, but now it's modified to minor, I can go from this A minor to this A minor at the 7th fret. Here's A major, here's A minor. So I'm going A minor, and now I have one more A minor at the 10th fret on the 2nd string. And then I can go all the way up to the 14th fret and play the complement to this. So I'll do that again. Here's A minor, here's A minor, here's A minor, and here's A minor. Right. So now let's look at the D shape. D minor, 3rd fret, 2nd string is naming that shape, and then I go here. Now the 3rd string is naming it and doing a 7, 7, 6, 7, and then here's one, 12th fret, which is derived from that F shape, but now it's here. So I would go D minor, D minor, D minor, right? So there's a pattern that kind of follows in. And then lastly, we have the, we could start with the bar shape, the F shape. Actually, we've already covered all those, so let's not worry about that. So this last tip is something that actually is pretty helpful to use when you're playing music, and the more you understand the concept of relative minor and major chords, the easier music will become for you. So what is a relative minor? Well, it's the 6th chord of the scale. So if I'm playing in G, G, A, B, C, D, E minor. So I'm going from G chord to E minor chord. And that's probably something you've heard a lot in music, right? So anytime I'm in a major chord, I can go to the relative minor and make a little change that fits nicely. So with this one, F shape, I'm switching from G, identified on the 4th string, to E minor, identified on the 2nd string. So there's a little kind of switch that goes there, and it's a really nice, easy, fluid movement to make. I can do the same thing out of this D shape up here. So I'm playing G at the 8th fret, 2nd string, see that? And then I'm switching to E minor with the E being on the 3rd string. So now you can remember two things, that the relative minor of G is E minor, and you can also find it on the 3rd string. So there's two ways. Then lastly, you've got this G, and then E minor would be here. So that on the 4th string. So that's a really nice, good thing to practice. I went to the E minor first there, but that E minor here is the same as this E minor down here. All right? So to summarize, the various chord shapes are really just different inversions of the chords. In other words, the notes are stacked in a different sequence. So whenever you play these positions, you're just playing them with different voicings on the 1st string. So if you listen to this song, you can hear the melody come through on the 1st string. That's a way to use these voicings and to create more interest in your music. So switching from one chord position to another for the same chord can be really helpful. So I hope this whole video has been helpful in figuring out how to use major minor chords, how to find them, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.